number 125 from this book, Ved Panchashati, by Rishi Vashisht and Rigved ka mantra. Om Shannoho Bhaga Shamu Nashanso Astu Shannaha Purandhi Shamu Santuraya Shannaha Satyasye Suyamasye Shansa Shanno Aryama Purujato Astu. Very popular mantra in Swasti Vachkam when we do that puja. हे प्रभु, मनुष्य को आपकी कृपा से इस जगत में धन, बल, बुद्धि, ऐश्वर्य, सुख, कर्म, स्वतंत्रता और अन्य जीवों पर अधिकार आदि बहुत कुछ प्राप्त है। हमारी प्रार्थना है कि आपकी प्रदान की हुई शक्तियों, समृद्धियों का मनुष्य से दुरुपयोग ना हो, बल्कि इन द्वारा जगत में सुख, शांति और न्याय का विस्तार हो, उनसे किसी भी जीव को दुख ना पहुंचे। हमारा धन शांति का कारण बने, हमारा यश भी शांति का कारण बने, हमारी बुद्धि सदा सुख का कारण बने, सत्य का बोलबाला हो एवं शांति का कारण बने। हे न्यायाधीशों के न्यायाधीश प्रभु, आपका न्याय सुख और शांति फैलाने वाला हो। प्रभु, आपने जग रचा, मानव रचा विशेष, संपत दीनी बहु उसे, रही कसर न लेश। उनका करे उपयोग वह सर्व जगत के हेत, जीव जंतु सब हों सुखी, सेवक को अभिप्रेत। मानव का जो धन है और वह अधिकार, सेवा में ही वह लगे जग में हर प्रकार। तब शक्ति से ही हो सकत अथवा ना हो पाए, स्वामी ने कृपा कीजिए जग सुखी हो जाए। सुखी करो जग को हे देव, धन बल जन का लगे जग सेव। जन का अपना जो भगवान, अपना नहीं जग का ले मान। सुख शांति जग में छा जाए, जो कुछ है सुखदाई हो पाए। So today is Astavakra day. We are on chapter number 18, verse number 15. येन विश्वम इदम दृष्टम स न अस्ति इति करोतु वै निर्वासनः किम कुरुते पश्यन् अपि न पश्यति. Yen means by whom. Vishwam, universe. Idam, this. Drishtam is seen. Sa means he, na means not. Asti is. Iti means may do. Iti means thus. Krotu means may do. And ve means indeed. Nirvasanaha, one who is without the vasanas, desireless. Kim means what? Kurute has to do. Pashyan, seeing. Api, though. Na pashyati, not beholds. He who sees the universe may try to deny it. What has the desireless to do? He beholds it not, even though he sees. He sees. So in the present state of consciousness, we have to accept what we perceive and experience, because that is the only reality for us. Because we don't have any idea of the subtler realm of the infinite self. So that's why he says, Yen Vishwam idam drishtam san asti iti krotu. So he who sees the universe, that means finds it that it does exist. Then you can say that, yeah, I don't want it. But a person who is already desireless, what has the desireless to do? Whether it's there or not there doesn't even matter to him. Doesn't have to run away from it. He beholds it not, even though he sees. So that means it is there, but no attachment to it, no liking for it. So if there's no liking, there's no disliking either. It is there, that's fine. I have nothing to do with it. So the desireless one has no ego in him either. See, ego is the one which says that, oh, this is mine, or I want it. Somebody else has more than me. So those are the desires. So the desireless one has no ego in him. And where the ego has ended, the self is realized. Okay, when we use the word self-realization will happen only when the ego has ended. So sometimes a seeing word throws us off, because seeing definitely is a function of the fleshy eyes also. But the man of perfection sees through his eyes the world of the objects, but he cannot behold. See, this pashyati means beholds. So with the eyes he sees, but with the subtle personality he doesn't have any attachment for it. So that's where the desirelessness is. Okay, because he's already enjoying the infinite enjoyment. So this outside scenes don't create a storm in his mind. So now if you read it again, he who sees the universe may try to deny it. So when we try to deny it, again there is some ego functioning. But what has the desireless to do? There's no need to deny it. He beholds it not, even though he sees. It's a pretty deep message in this verse for us. So he sees nothing. What does he see? The peaceful self, the blissful reality spread everywhere. See, we are looking at the objects or the people or the situations and we think we can get the bliss from there, the happiness from there. He sees that bliss everywhere, within and without. He has awakened from the so-called dream. So that's why he sees that bliss everywhere. But we are looking for the happiness in these finite objects or the names. Okay, so, or in other words, we see through our ignorance and we understand the world as substantial and real. Sage also sees the same world, but through his understanding, he recognizes that this is temporary, this is unreal, is connected to that ultimate reality. So he has used the Rishi Astavakra like this kind of a person knows that this is just a castle in the sky. Or he also gave us the analogy of mirage water. So this sage knows it's just like a mirage water. So man of realization lives in the world, but his experience of the self helps him to evaluate this world correctly. And this is the point he's trying to make, that while a person is living, has to recognize this, has to experience it. It's not after leaving this body, but while living in the body. Okay? Yen drishtam param brahma sa aham brahm iti chintyet kim chintyati nischintaha dvitiyam yana pashyati. Yen means by whom. Drishtam is seen. Param Brahma, Supreme Brahma. Sa means he. Aham Brahma, I am Brahma. Iti means thus, chintyet, meditates upon. Okay, chintan. Kim means what? Chintyati, meditates. Nischintaha, one who has transcended thoughts. Dvitiyam, second. Ya means who? Na pashyati, not sees. He who sees the Supreme Brahma meditates, I am Brahma. He who has transcended all thoughts, and when he sees no second, upon what should he meditate upon? So these are like two different stages of achievement. So in the first line, Ashtavakraji is pointing out the distinction, or he is telling us a person who meditates. So it's almost like a earlier stage on this achievement. Then in the second line, that is a higher level. So who sees the supreme Brahma? I am Brahmasmi. This is called a Savikalap Samadhi. So Vikalap is still there. The thoughts are still going on. I am a Brahma. Okay. So through this meditation and continuous assertion, I am Brahma, he achieves his total detachment from the outer. This is definitely a lot of achievement, but still, this is only a first stage of achievement for a yogi. Savikalap Samadhi, I am Brahma. Okay. But as a result of this spiritual practice and a long self-discipline, the ego ends. This I dissolves. I am Brahma, the I is gone. It's only the Brahma. There's no second. In order to say I am Brahma, there are two, I and the Brahma. So that's why in the second line he says that it doesn't happen automatically. The discipline has to be there. The purity has to be there. The love for God has to be there. So that's why he said, Kim chintyati nischinta, dvityam yana pashyati. There's no two, it's only one. I is gone. I has dissolved into Brahm, and it's only Brahm, Brahm, and Brahm. It's just like a bucket of water is being poured into the ocean. Bucket says, I am going to the ocean. I am so fortunate I'm going to the ocean. But when it's poured into the ocean, where is the bucket water and where is ocean water? This is the higher stage. Because he has discovered his perfect identity with the Brahma. First, there are two. So Astavakra ji is saying, upon what should he meditate? Because in order to meditate, there has to be two. I'm meditating on somebody else. And where is the seeker to meditate? There's no ego. And try to reach what? I'm sitting over here. If I need to go somewhere else, I'll have to get up and go there. But in my body, I don't have to go anywhere to see my own part of body. This is me, one. So that's why I said, try to reach what? On reaching the goal, the pilgrimage has ended. On realizing the self, meditation has culminated. So that's why when we talk about Patanjali Sutras, that meditation has become a samadhi now. The meditator has become the meditated. That is the great awakening. In this great awakening, ego dies down. Ego has ended. Describing such a man of perfection, Adi Shankaracharya ji in Vivek Chudamani says, he who, giving up all considerations of the fitness or otherwise of objects of meditation, lives as the absolute Atma, is indeed, he says, Shiva himself, the best among the knowers of Brahma. Shiv eva swayam sakshatayam Brahma vidyatvam. That's why those are saying, Shivoham, Shivoham. Okay, so from Savikalap to Nirvikalap. Then he says, Drishtaha yen atam vikshepaha nirodham kuruto tu asau Udaraha tu na vikshiptaha sadhye abhavat karoti kim. Drishtaha. Drishta is the seen or experienced. Yen means by whom. Atam vikshepa, distraction in himself. Nirodham kurute, practices self-control. So nirodh over here means self-control. Tu means indeed, asau means he. Udaraha, the noble-minded or the great person, udar. Tu means but, na means not, vikshiptaha, distracted. Sadhye abhavat, having nothing to accomplish. Sadhya. See, we talk about this term sadhya, sadhana, sadhak. So sadhya is something to accomplish. So having nothing to accomplish. Kroti means does, kema means what. He who experiences distractions in himself indeed must control himself. So that means this practice is needed. Distractions come, control it. These are the initial stages. So he who experiences distractions in himself indeed must control himself. But the noble-minded great one is not distracted at all, having nothing to accomplish. What should he do? What should he do? So at the non-apprehension of the reality, misapprehensions come in the mind. And this is because of the spiritual ignorance. And that's what the distraction he's talking about. So he says, do the self-control. But the sage, the perfect one, a yogi who is liberated in life, Jivan Mukt, that is the correct term for it, liberated in life, who knows no distraction, who is ever living in the blissful peace of the infinite perfection, constantly connected with that higher. He has nothing to accomplish. And therefore, what has he to do? So in other words, it's not that that person doesn't do anything, but there's no doership in his mind. We think that, no, I have to do this, I have to meditate, I have to do the sadhana. For a person who's connected, what is there to do? Even while doing, no doership. That's why these great yogis, they accomplished so much in their life. We are people like us, we think there's not enough time. We say we are busy doing what? And this kind of a person, I have all the time. Tell me, how can I help? And even then, while helping, no sense of I am doing it. This is the perfection he's talking about, that he has nothing more to gain. He has become the self. His mind has ended. His ego has merged. This dream of the world has rolled away for him. He is the self. So in that sense, he says, a sage knows no meditation. So we cannot take it literally. We got to understand the deeper implications of this statement. Then he says, Dhiraha lok vipresataha vartmanaha api lokvat na samadhim na vikshepam na lepam swasta pashyati. Dhiraha, the wise man. Lok vipresta, reverse of the common man. See, vipre means opposite, reverse. Lok is the ordinary people. So reverse of the common man. Vartmanaha, existing. Api means though. Lokvat, like an ordinary man, ordinary person. No samadhim, no absorption, no vikshepam, no distraction, no lepam, no involvement. Swastha, of his own. Pashyati, sees. The wise person, though living like an ordinary person, He's the reverse of the ordinary person. So from outside we see that person is just like us, but he is the opposite of us, ordinary people. He sees neither absorption, nor distraction, nor involvement of himself. So a sage of spiritual vision lives like any other ordinary person in the world. He pursues a very normal life. Yet he is the reverse of the common man in his estimate of himself and the world around him. Because common folks like us, we consider the world of sense objects as real. And the spirituality or the divinity is a matter of doubt for us. There's always a little question hankering inside our mind. Does God really exist? Or is it just a made up thing by some people? But for this kind of a person, God is real. Divinity is real. Self is the only reality. So the self alone is the one reality actually. And he lives it constantly in his experience. To him, the world of objects are all illusions of the human mind. Illusions means temporary. They are here. That's all. No attachment to it. Doesn't get distracted by it. Doesn't run after it. No hankering in the mind. Does not get disturbed. Doesn't want to run after it, or doesn't want to run away from it either. Nothing to do. It's there. That's fine. So a sage, so he's telling us a sage of inward constant experience who is recognizing the divine and nothing else but divine. That's why he said neither absorption nor distraction. He has transcended his mind. Because samadhi and vikshep are the conditions of the mind. And then the third one, when he says no lepam, he is living in this world, but he does not get involved in this world. So mind does not get involved in the world. So this does not mean that he does not act. In fact, this kind of a personality constantly is serving the world. But he does not get involved. He never acts with ego. Involvement is always with the ego. So, or the egocentric desires, or the vasanas. So he is the reverse of a common man. That's why common people like us, we think that this kind of a person is a crazy. What did people call Mirabai? So devotees or the personalities of this kind, when they are living, nobody recognizes them. They think they are crazy. Okay. Bhav abhav vihina yatriptaha nirvasana buddha na eva kinchit kritam ten lok drishtya vikurvataha. Bhav abhav vihina transcends. See, vihin means transcending, without it. Transcends existence and non-existence. Bhav and abhav. Ya means who? Triptaha, content. Nirvasanaha, free from desire. Buddha, wise. Na eva, not even. Kinchit, anything. Kritam, done. Ten, by him. Lok drishtyaha, in the sight of the world. Vi kurvataha, acting vigorously. Vi kurvat, constantly busy. He who transcends existence and non-existence, bhav and abhav. Who is wise, content, free from desires, does nothing. Even if he be acting vigorously in the eyes of the world. Okay? So let's look at the word bhav and abhav first. What does it mean in this verse? Bhav is the existence or identification with the body. So when I say existence, that is identification with the body, mind, intellect. Okay. And abhav, non-existence, that means even the subtler than that, unmanifested vasanas also. So bhav, abhav, vihina. So detachment from the physical body, detachment from the subtle body, and detachment from the causal body also. So that's what it means, bhav, abhav, vihina. His actions can be considered neither as a selfish nor selfless work. It's a pretty deep statement because we are constantly churning between these two, selfish and selfless. So he doesn't even consider his work as selfless because he doesn't even consider his work as work. Dissolved all layers of personality. Okay. So he who transcends existence and non-existence, who is wise. So this is the kind of a person who is wise. He's content, free from desires, does nothing, even if he be acting vigorously. In the eyes of the world. So in the world, the public outside, they recognizes this liberated in life, dynamically engaging in the world. But a man of perfection does nothing. So I don't do it. So actions are not actions at all for this person. And we studied a little bit like this in Gita also. Over here, because I told you, where Bhagavad Gita ends, this Gita starts. Okay, so over here, that's why more and more thoughts around this. We act in the world motivated by our egocentric desires. Right? A person who's not doing the work is a very tamasic person, will say. Somebody else is doing for that person. But when the little Rajsikta seeps in, oh, I want to do it. Then sure, little Satvikta comes, I want to do selfless service. But this person is beyond the gunas now. So that's why nirvasana, triptaha, buddha, bhav, abhav, vihina, all these beautiful terms are used here so that we can understand. So his actions can be considered neither as a selfish nor selfless work. How does he consider his actions? Leela, God's play. That's all. No me or mine or I or you, God's play, Leela. It's just like Leela word or a play is when a child plays with the toys. That's how this person plays. There is no impulse of desire behind any of his activities. In chapter 4, verse number 18 in Bhagavad Gita, after the class, look at it. Exactly same thing is mentioned. Karmanye karam ya pashet karmani cha karam ya. Sa buddhiman manusheshu sa yukta kritsan karam krit. He who recognizes inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men. He is a yogi and a true performer of all actions. So this is Lord Krishna is saying. So he is hinting towards a yogi's way of living, doing the action. Okay, but Rishi Astavakra is expounding on it a lot more. Number 20. Parvritau va nivritau va Na eva dhirasya durgraha yada yat kartum ayati tat kritva tishthatha sukham. Pravrito. Pravriti hota hai activity. So in activity. Nivrito. In inactivity. So pravriti is activity, nivriti is inactivity. Va means or, na means not, ev means surely, dhirasya of the wise one, durgraha, uneasiness or a trouble. Yada means when, yat means what, kartum means to do, ayati comes. Tat means that, kritva doing, tishtata living, sukham means happily. The wise one who lives on happily, doing what comes to him to be done, does not feel troubled or uneasy, either in activity or in inactivity. If something is to do, we'll do it without thinking that I'm doing it. So this is a condition of a mind of a wise person, a yogi. Opposite of that is people get restless when they don't have something to do of their liking. So he doesn't get troubled or uneasy. Okay, we got to pay attention to our mind. Does it get uneasy too easily? We just have the outside world affect us even where there's no need to get affected very easily. And we don't do anything about it, outside conditions, but we just get affected by it. A yogi does not. A wise person does not. Okay? So the man of realization has nothing to gain for himself by undertaking an activity, nor has he to lose anything by not doing, because he is complete by himself. But he is constantly engaged in various programs of service though. Janahit karma. Even Lord Krishna talked about himself in Bhagavad Gita because Arjun didn't want to wage the war. He got disturbed. So Lord Krishna gave his own example. In chapter number 3, verse number 22. What did he say? He says, there's nothing for me to attain or unattain. Yet I engage myself in action. Na anavaptam avaptavyam vart evcha karmani. I have nothing to attain, nothing to not attain. I still stay busy. So that's what he's teaching Arjun. To act like a yogi. You're not doing it for yourself. Don't get disturbed by it. Just do it because you're supposed to do it. That's it. He says, I do it. Why don't you do it too? So Astavakra ji is explaining here that be very dynamic, active. For the benefit of the community. This kind of a person plunges fully, recognizing everything what is happening as his prarabdha. You are put into a situation because of the prarabdha. So deal with your prarabdha while keeping your mind stable. Otherwise, you are continuously adding into your sanchit karmas. Deal with your prarabdha. So this person remains unaffected, constantly rooted in his experience of the divine self. observing along with the universe around him. He is so fully established in the experience of the one self everywhere. It's like a unity, Brahm everywhere. Whether he is in the field of activity or whether he's retired, like nothing to do in the outer world, completely retirement, he is equally peaceful, equally contented, and equally blissful. Because in no activity he is a doer. As a retired also, he is not a doer. As a busy person, he is not a doer. That's where the blissfulness is coming from the real source, the divine within. Let's do one more, then I'll give you a chance to ask questions or tell us about you, how you think. Do you agree with it's not with me, but do you agree with Astavakra ji or not? Okay. Nirvasanaha, niralambana, swachandaha, muktbandhana, kshiptaha, sanskarvatena, cheshtate, shushk parnuvat. Beautiful example he's giving us. Shushk parnuvat. Nirvasana, desireless. Niralambha, independent. Swachandaha, free. Muktbandhana, free from bondage. These are very simple terms. Most of you are familiar with. Kshiptaha, blown. Sanskar vaten, by the wind of the effects of past actions. Sanskar vaten, vat is the air, wind. So by the wind of the effects of past actions. Cheshtate, moves. Shushk parnavat, like a dry leaf. Shushk means dry, parnavat, like a leaf. Blown by the wind of effects of the past actions, sanskaras. The desireless, independent, free, and liberated person moves about like a dry leaf. So in other words, a person of this, who has risen to this level, has no more any vanity of his body. In fact, he has no use for it. See, just like a leaf on the tree has some use. Leaf fallen, dry leaf fallen on the ground, has no vanity of its own. Wind can just move it anywhere it wants to. So this person is something like a dry leaf that has fallen away from a tree when its functions are ended for the tree. Not only the leaf dances on the branches of the tree, but the fallen leaf again very dynamically blown here and there by the passing breeze. So he has lost its individuality. Just take me anywhere you want to. So that's what Astavakra ji is explaining here, that like a dry leaf that is blown here and there by the breeze, so too the man of perfection moves about in a different directions. Sometimes this man of perfection will be put on the pedestal, on a throne, just like Janak was, a king of a great kingdom, or it could be a beggar, doesn't matter. Astavakra ji was, even as a small child, he was ridiculed. First by his own father when he was even born, and later on by a lot of pandits over there in Janak's court. No effect on him. It was a prarabdha. So one yogi may spend all his lifetime in the caves, in the mountains, plunged in samadhi. And that could be his prarabdha. Because of the prarabdha, he wants to do that, or he is doing it. But slowly he understands that who am I? And another one may move about in the society like a miserable, torn up clothes, and careless about his food also. That's also a prarabdha. But both are connected. Or a person could be seated on a throne also. So yogis can be anywhere, but the real thing is where they are connected. So, or some person could take a great programs for the cultural revival also. That could be because of the prarabdha of a country. Or may found a new religion for the benefit of the generations to come. Or write books. But it all depends whether a person is doing it out of ego or a person is doing it because prarabdha is like that and God has given me these qualities and I'm just, who am I? Kind of attitude. No doer ego in any one of them. So it's not the outer condition is labeling the person. We label a person. But this kind of a person who's connected, all these labels, they don't mean anything. So the analogy of the dry leaf moving without any purpose is very powerful. Very striking example actually. Because the propelling force working behind a spiritual master in his life after his self-rediscovery is divinity. Okay, so let's stop it here. If you have any question, we can talk about it. Otherwise, after that, today Kamla is going to sing a bhajan. Okay.
Hersh, I just wanted to share a screen.
Oh, you want to share? Okay, all right. Share screen then.
This is for the people who have been asking on how to get onto the website. So let's see. Whoops, wrong one. There. So everybody can see this where you're in the Google, you just type in Yog Sadhana Ashram of Chicago comes up. Then on the right side of your screen, you will see Yog Sadhana Ashram of Chicago. So you can click onto the website there. And here our ashram opens up. And as you can see, here comes our donate button. In scriptural readings, this is where you find all the Zoom classes. Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, topic of the day, Astavakra Gita, kids class, and the Bhagavad Gita. Then if you go over to programs, here's where we can go for handouts. If you click on handouts, you just go on to any of these and you can print your own handout. Here's our latest one, chariot symbolism.
I'll give you the names of those mudras also. Let's put those also. I don't know whether everybody got them or not. So just a list of the mudras.
Yes. Okay. Now I have to get myself back.
Jyoti, this one is in philosophy?
Scriptural, this one.
That's in programs.
Programs.
Program. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. There.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Jyoti.
Okay.
So any question now or comment?
Sujata, that's the question?
Yes, Sujata. Unmute, please. Unmute.
So I was thinking that the people of Ashtavakra's level of self-aware of, how shall I say it, enlightenment, they are they sort of become the saviors of the situation that they are in. Is
Yeah.
that what their role is?
Yeah, their goal is, and it's not their personal goal.
No.
They just think that they are instrument in God's hands. It's God's wish, whatever God wants us to do. Okay, they don't think that we're gonna save this world. They are not the saviors. They don't think they are the saviors. Okay.
So I mean,
Because
like
the minute we think I am something, we are disconnecting from that I am. They just do it because it's supposed to be done, and so no ego. That is the main thing. Okay.
so I mean, in a way, that's what he's trying to explain to Janak.
Yes.
That who is actually a very realized, advanced yogi. That
Yeah. See, King Janak, in that lifetime as a King Janak, he started out as a Karam Yogi.
Okay.
Karam Yogi. Okay. So he was the greatest of the Karam Yogi. But the Guru came into his life to push him above a Karam Yogi, and which is a Karam Sannyasi. Karam Sannyasi means I'm doing whatever is being done according to my prarabdha. But who am I to do it? I'm not doing it. I am Atma, and Atma is not doing anything. So this was the purpose of Rishi Ashtavakra's appearance in King Janak's life. Okay. So he was already a Karam Yogi.
Right.
Because sometimes we think that just by having a guru in his life, all of a sudden he reached that samadhi. He had a lot of practices before. He was a Karam Yogi. Okay. So, but good thinking, Sujata. Yeah. Anybody else?
Prem Mehta.
Yes, Prem. Yeah. Please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
She's going back and forth. Looks like the computer is.
It changes.
Yes, Prem,
Okay.
here you are. Okay.
Anji, thank you, Ji. Namaskar, Ji.
Namaskar.
The question comes to mind is that where do you draw the line between action, non-action, and pralabdha?
Prarabdha. Okay.
Anji.
See, action, inaction word is used two different ways. One is like inaction means I'm not going to do anything. I use the word, I would rather call it a unactivity. Like I'm not doing anything. That's a tamsikta.
Right.
Action is when you're acting it, when you are taking a full ownership of your actions. And prarabdha is the outcome of your past actions. Prarabdha is what you have brought in with.
Ji.
How
do I recognize? How do
you recognize the prarabdha?
Yes.
Prarabdha is like where you were born, the parents you had, the body you were given, the social strata. That's all prarabdha. What you came with. Or even now, if something happens without much effort, it just comes to you. That is a prarabdha. Prarabdha is because of the old, and it's good or bad both. You're walking down the street and you fall down. You are careful, but still you fall down. That is called a prarabdha. Or you are driving, following all the rules of the roads, but still somebody hits you. And you end up in the hospital.
If if I want to differentiate between if somebody's taking advantage of me or if it's pralabdha.
Yeah, and if somebody is taking advantage of you, that doesn't
Or-
mean that prarabdha says that you should let the person take advantage. Whenever you have certain say in it, can you not let somebody take advantage of you? If you had that kind of a keenness in there, understanding in there, then you are being inactive. You are becoming careless. You are not doing your duty. Okay?
So do what you can, and after you said what you need to say, then just accept it as a pralabdha.
Yeah, accept it as a prarabdha and connect yourself with the higher power.
Okay.
Not grudgingly, okay, not out of desperation,
Right.
okay, but do your best. Yeah, we definitely need to do it. See, just like we need to take care of our body, but in spite of taking care of our body, if we get sick, then take it as a prarabdha.
Okay.
Okay, because
Okay.
predominantly whether I will live a healthy body in a healthy body and a comfortable position, it is prarabdha also. Because don't we say sometimes that some people who smoke and drink all their life and they enjoy good health?
Right.
That is a prarabdha.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
That is definitely that's a prarabdha. Some people don't do exercise at all. And some people do exercise and then they fall and die. That's also a prarabdha.
That's also pralabdha.
Okay, big things happen in life because of prarabdha. So acceptance of that prarabdha is very important. Okay? But that doesn't mean that we should just
Take
hold
it.
our hands like this and not do anything. Our duty is to do something. Lord Krishna showed Arjuna what will happen. But still he said to wage this war.
True.
Right?
True.
So we have to do in any given moment what we are supposed to do. And idea is to let your ego get dissolved slowly. It's not that easy. Ego does not get dissolved that easily.
True.
Okay? So
Hersh
doing
ji,
without the ego. Yes.
so
Yes,
Hersh ji, so
Jyoti,
prarabdha, this is Sonia. So prarabdha
Yes, Sonia.
means, in simple words, is it sanskar? Is that what
Prarabdha, no. Sanskars are different. Prarabdha is your old actions which are giving you the fruits right now.
So karam, basically, right?
Karam, but karam you performed in the past.
Correct.
You have done many karams. But that handful of karams, fruits of the karams which you brought this time with you.
Okay.
Okay, so sanskars are seeds. So these are the prarabdha is a fruit of those, some of the seeds.
Got it. Okay.
See, I have a bucket full of seeds in my house. Every year I take some out and plant it. So the one I planted, those are the prarabdha. Or another way you can understand, you have a bank account. Out of the bank account, you take some out. That is prarabdha. And whatever you have there, that's all sanskars. Those are all sanchit karams. Okay. So one day I'm going to talk. I know everybody has a lot of questions about karmas also. Maybe one Wednesday we'll talk about karmas. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Urmil has a question.
Yes, Urmil.
I normally try to read the 10 verses before the class. So last night I read it and I really got stuck with the dissolving of the ego, because it, as you just mentioned, it's a difficult to visualize all that, and it doesn't happen just like that. But in every verse from 18 to 21, he talks of the dissolving of the ego. Much that we have learned everything about it. I could not visualize the dissolving of the ego too well.
Dissolving of the ego happens, number one factor is when we have a guru in our life. Because ego is the one which keeps us like this. I did it. I am. When we have a guru in our life, it just makes us a little humble. They say that deenata is the condition of our mind which brings the ego down. Deen, humility, humbleness. And that we have only when we have a guru in our life. Otherwise, we accomplish a lot. We think I have done it. But when we have see, just like you all tell me that, oh, you teach so much, you know so much. But when I compare myself with my guru, I am like a little glowworm in front of the sun or several suns. This is nothing what I know. If I did not have a guru in my life, sure, I would have said, gosh, yeah, so many people, all of you are well educated, you are telling me I know so much. But that guru's presence in my life keeps my ego down. And ego is such a powerful faculty in us. It's not just bringing it down once. You bring it down once, it rises up again.
Hop ball.
What do they play with that yo-yo, you know? So it just goes down and it comes up, goes down and comes up. Ego is like that. So that's why presence of a guru in your life is extremely important. And this ego is the one which came in this manifested world first. And this is the last one which is going to go. Okay? So if you are thinking about it, Urmil, that is the right thing. And
Yeah,
that
because
is
I just couldn't visualize that ego gone.
That is the outcome of you serving so much, writing the book, thinking about it.
But I don't think I've done a great job. People say I've done a wow, great.
Good.
I still don't know
Good.
a lot.
That's
I'm
good.
learning every day. I'm still
Every day
don't
you
know
are
about the
learning,
ego.
and that's why this you are thinking about this ego also. Otherwise, somebody would have said, "Yeah, I wrote a book." So you are not. So by doing more, you become more humble. It's almost like a tree which is full of fruits. How do we look at it? It's bent. I have a couple of plants outside my front yard, bell pepper plants. The plant which has the biggest bell peppers is bent more. The others are still standing like that. Okay? So that's what happens. So deenata, we got to bring that in our life. Ego is yeah. I think Poonam wanted to say something.
I was thinking that you explained ego just from the point of view of pride, let's say. But the ego that we have been talking about is not that ego. That is the one that gives us a sense of myness and I-ness, not necessarily just the pride part of it. That, okay, I am so proud that I am able to do this or that. That is just a very small part of the ego. The rest of the ego that I am, I amness. I was thinking that was what maybe he's talking about, or maybe that's what she's reading about. That the myness, my bodiness, my mindness, my intellectness, that is the ego that I think Astavakra ji is mostly maybe talking about. How to get rid of that, not just the little pride that we might have, ahankar, you know, the other word for it, ki maine ye kiya ya maine, but the bigger picture, that me in this body, me being separate from the universe, or that is the separateness is, I think that's the bigger picture, that maybe that's the ego he wants us to get rid of. And I'm sure the baby steps go from here only, that you don't have the pride. But I was thinking that bigger part of that, the bigger ego, how do we separate ourselves from that? That is a big question, and that's the big work. It involves like a huge effort. I feel. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, and that's why the sadhana is important. The disciplined life is important. Swadhyay is important. So all of that gives us both sides. The lack of pride also, and right understanding who we are. Because ego is really, what is ego? Identification with the wrong thing. We identify with our body, that's the ego, whether we are proud about it or whether we feel nothing about it. The both are ego. Because identification with the non-I is the ego. It could be our accomplishments, it could be who I am, it could be what I have accomplished, or how others perceive me. All of it is ego. Okay, so sure, it could be pride, it could be ahankar, it could be abhiman, and some days or some minute it could be one thing, another minute it could be something different. But identification with the wrong thing is ego. Identification with the temporary and forgetfulness of the real is ego. Okay, so whichever way you understand it, but this is the sadhana we need to do. Okay, dissolve our ego. That means identify the real and disidentify with the non-real. Okay, so
Hersh,
anybody else, or maybe
I think Falguni, you have a question?
I just wanted more I need to know more about Prarabdha, but we will do it in a
we will
different
talk
time.
about it. I think we already have gone past our time.
Yeah.
So Prarabdha, I'll talk more about Prarabdha. Maybe one of the Wednesdays we'll have this topic, karmas. Okay, because it is a deep topic. We can go more and more and round into it. So I think if nobody has a question, Kamala, please unmute yourself and sing the bhajan.
सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई मेरी राम तेरा नाम एक साजा दूजा न कोई सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई जीवन आनी जानी छाया झूठी माया झूठी काया फिर काहे को सारी उमरिया फिर काहे को सारी उमरिया पाप की गठरी ढोई सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई कुछ न तेरा कुछ न मेरा ये जग जोगी वाला फेरा राजा हो या रंक सभी का राजा हो या रंक सभी का अंत एक सा होई दुख के सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई बाहर की तू माटी फाके मन के भीतर क्यों ना जाके उजले तन पर मान किया उजले तन पर मान किया और मन की मैल न धोई सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई मेरी राम साजा दूजा न कोई, सुख के सब साथी दुख में न कोई. Thank you.
Beautiful, Kamla. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.